Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by Kristine Glein. She has created the ultimate biohack to help people heal from past trauma without having to relive it. It also helps people to get unstuck and connect with their own energy to move forward in life. It is called Soul Intelligence Method, and it is so effective that she actually has doctors referring patients to her all the time. Kristine, thank you so much for coming on Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm so happy you're here.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's just jump right into the beginning. So, March 12th, 2020 was a pivotal moment in your life.
Oh
How
gosh.
did the emotional roller coaster of that day journey into the realm of you developing soul intelligence?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. What a great place to start. Well, as most people can recall, March 12th, 2020 was really the beginning of that
Shut
incredible period
down.
known as COVID shutdown. Yes. And for me, I was, for most of my career, a corporate turnaround specialist. Okay. So what that meant was I would work with companies and figure out what people, processes, technology needed to change in order for the business to meet their objectives. Okay, so that was my professional career, and I did it a lot in higher education businesses. And on that day, I was at a doctor's office, oddly enough, with my husband at the time, who was going to get a biopsy on his prostate. And I got the phone call letting me know my services were no longer needed. Well, that was like a shock of my life because I had just gotten a performance bonus. We were on year one of a planned 3-year turnaround, and we were actually making the turn. We were doing,
Hello?
yeah, I know,
You're
shock.
meeting expectations,
I'm like, wait a minute,
exceeding.
what? Yeah. So essentially what happened was I had shown, we had prepared a board deck. We were about to go into a board meeting on Monday. March 12th was a Thursday. And we had shared the board deck with the CEO, and the CEO read our presentation and realized, we had been asking, or I personally had been asking my boss, the COO, for more people in the fourth quarter so that we would have enough people to be able to meet the expectations in the first quarter.
Mhm.
And what we showed in the board deck is if we had been allowed to hire people, and the CEO kept saying, no, hold the line on expenses. If we had been allowed to hire them, not only would we have met expectations, we would have exceeded the Q1 number.
Right.
And so I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? My husband needs healthcare. He's getting a biopsy. I'm like, holy crap, my
Yeah.
life has come crashing at my feet. So I text my boss. I go, I just got fired. He goes, me too. I'm like, what? It was a total coup. So essentially what happened is the CEO took our board deck, went in and said, my boss and I didn't hire enough people, and he went on a hiring spree and then put a buddy in. But karma has a way of working things out. They ran the company into the ground, and this company no longer exists. So the divine took care of that for me. So
Right.
then, okay, so we'll go back to me. Okay, now that you know the corporate espionage story.
It
The part
happens.
about how did soul intelligence show up? Um, so during this time, I had a really good friend say to me, listen, instead of just going and getting another job or another turnaround, why don't you focus on something that really lights you up? Something that, you feel called to do, something where you're inspired. I'm like, you know what? That sounds amazing. And quite frankly, nobody's hiring right now because they're all freaking out about how do we manage remotely and what do we do?
Yes.
It was kind of like this crazy hysteria. So fortunately for me, because of the situation, I had a little bit of a runway and got an exit package, which was great. And that gave me time. So I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of meditation. And basically there was this one day where I did this guided meditation with someone I adore. I don't know if you know of Sophie Bashford, but I love her stuff. She has a book called You Are a Goddess, and she's just
Yes.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And she
I'm
has a
Facebook friends
British
with her.
accent too. Her British accent is fabulous too. So I had this message that came through this meditation that I did where it brought tears to my eyes, and I knew I couldn't go back into corporate America. And so I had learned a method a long time ago that used a book of charts and a pendulum called spiritual response therapy. But it kind of fell flat. It was created by a Baptist minister, and I felt called to like the idea of it, but it wasn't really hitting home for me. And
Mhm.
so then I started doing more meditation, more journaling, and kind of got the method delivered to me, in essence, from the divine. And so now I'm like, how do I share this with others? So I started with my own doctor, my own healthcare professional. She's an MD, but she also is open to alternative ways of healing. And so I said, hey, I know you know me as this crazy adrenaline junkie that's on planes constantly, but there's another side to me. And
Love
I've
this.
kept the spiritual side in the closet. And I said, listen, I will come down. I will just wait all afternoon till you have a break in your schedule. Let me do a session for you and you can tell me what you think. And she said, okay. So I went down and she couldn't see me right away. But one of her staff members, another MD, said, my schedule just opened up. Every client I had this afternoon canceled and that never happens. And I go, well, then I guess we're meant to do this.
Wow.
So I do a session for her and she's crying. She's spilling water everywhere, which typically means your emotions are just running all over the floor. And like right at that moment, my doctor opens the door and says, oh, how's it going? Sees her colleague in a heap and a mess. She goes, oh God, I'm next, pick me. And it was just
Wow.
game on from there. So that's really how it started for me.
I love that. So let me ask you this. So the intelligence method, as you just said, has attracted medical professionals. How does
Mhm.
the scientific community perceive this method? And do you know of the science behind its effectiveness?
Absolutely. I'd love to share that since you're a medical personnel yourself, right? Yeah. Okay, so how does this all work? Well, first of all, we'll go back to, fourth grade science class where we all learned we're all protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? So we've all got energy. We are energy. We're all made up of the same stuff. It's just how fast is that vibrating, whether we
Right.
see it or not, right? So you can hear music, but you don't see it, right? I'm seeing you on a Zoom, like via technology, and it's all energy transferring. I still don't know how to do it. I'm still fascinated by a fax machine. I never knew how the paper like made it
It is
through.
fascinating how it imprints onto the paper. That does fascinate me, I have to
Right?
say.
So everybody and everything is energy. So that stands to reason that energy can get stuck in people, places, or things, and it can get stuck in your mental body, your emotional body, and your physical body. And our body actually stores trauma, right? We know this. Like therapists try and get that stored energy up and out of your body by making you relive the traumatic story. So you bring it up and out into your
Right.
conscious awareness and cry it out or yell it out or whatever you do. And there's lots of ways to do that. But what the science behind this method is called bioenergetics. And it is the core, it's been around since the 1950s, at least that we've recorded it. But in essence, it's the relationship between your physical body and your emotional and mental body, right? So if you think about it, when you go to the doctor, you don't just tell them what physically is not working well.
Right.
They always go, well, what's going on in your life? What's wrong with
Right.
what's going on with your home life? What's going on with your kids or your husband or school or work or whatever? Because all of that contributes, right?
Absolutely.
So Dr. Joe Dispenza also talks about, how every system in your body either upregulates a gene or downregulates a gene, right? And you being of medical personnel get this concept probably pretty easily, but I'm going to do it as lay as I
That's
can.
okay. It's okay.
Okay,
I'm like,
you
I get
good? Okay.
it.
So everything except red blood cells, anyway, they don't. Okay, but everything else does. So that's one of the reasons why when he brings people to a meditation retreat, they're able to heal chronic illnesses because you're changing your inner state. So if you
Right.
think about it, if it's kind of like Groundhog Day. If you go to the doctor, right, and you do what they tell you to do, and you take whatever supplements or medications or whatever, you're going to cure whatever has physically gone wrong in the body. But what we have to do is figure out what happened first. What's the
Right.
underlying root cause, which is really the basis of functional medicine or integrative medicine, right? Where you're treating the body as a whole, the person as a whole. But typically, emotion is supposed to be energy in motion. When energy stops moving, it starts to pool in the body and it starts causing a dissonance in the frequency or dis-ease within the body. And then you go to the doctor and you're
Right.
like, I can fix this thing, right?
Right.
So there's always trapped energy, trapped emotion, trapped trauma somewhere. So it's a matter of finding it. A lot of it hides in our subconscious mind because 95% of our mind is the subconscious. Can you believe that? Like all of our thinking,
I know, it's
figuring,
wild. It's wild.
like
You don't even know what's running around in
strategizing
your, yeah, you have no idea what's running
is
around in your brain.
5%. I mean, that just blows my mind. So you have to find a way to bring it up and out. And so the way I do that is using a book of charts and a pendulum. So I set up a sacred space. I get connected to, for me, the divine of all that is. It could be any power greater than yourself. And I call in lots of different beings that I know exist that are there to protect us, whether you call them guides or angels or ancestors or, you know, whatever somebody is comfortable with, but anybody on the other side and energy that's around us. And I ask to figure out what needs to move, shift, or clear for somebody's best or highest good.
I love
And
that.
it's literally as simple as that. And so then we find out what caused the hurt or harm, what stuck emotions were there, what is it self-limiting beliefs that have been going around and around and around that you haven't been able to shake? Is it a trauma that occurred and your body's still holding that? And it's really fascinating when we actually get to the root cause. But again, it's kind of interesting because growing up more or less in corporate America, and God gave me boys. So, you know, it was like,
Same.
no emotion. Oh, good, right?
Yeah.
No emotion. You're not allowed to show emotion at work. You know, you have to be this. It's completely opposite. It is completely opposite. Our emotions are really, like Neville Goddard said, the secret, truly the secret. And so that's why, like, The Secret, the book, didn't work because it's only about, and only worked for a small portion of people. And that's because your mind and your energetic body have to align for something to manifest. Essentially, emotions magnify what you want. So our brain has about a 2-foot wide magnetic field around it, electromagnetic field. Our heart's 6-foot wide. All right, now I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but 6-foot wide. Didn't we have to stand 6 foot apart for some reason? Uh-huh.
That's funny.
Anyway, I know, right? But it really basically means, you know, that your heart is so much more powerful. The energy, the emotion, it's not just this pump in our chest keeping us going. But emotions, whatever you feel about something is what's going to manifest. So if you say one thing, but you feel something different, it won't course correct.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as when you go to the doctor. They might fix one physical thing that's wrong, but then something else goes haywire because you haven't changed, you haven't upregulated the cells within the body in order to totally shift. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It takes me to the body keeps a score. So it's, you know, everything that has gone on past and present and really even future too, if you don't believe in time, you know,
Right.
it's like everything is happening all at once. And even if you cut you off in traffic, that gets embedded, that moment, that trigger into your cellular tissue. And like, you know, you're saying if you don't release it, it's going to come out some way or another.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Yes,
Rash,
absolutely.
headache, dis-ease. Yeah, it's very interesting. And then, you know, as us as being spiritual beings, you know, you also pull in the spiritual layer as well. And that's really pulling it out like many feet. So it's
Absolutely.
fascinating that I like this because you don't have to relive the trauma. You can
Mhm.
release it and let it go. And then, you know, I would hope that do people have to come back for sessions if they find themselves getting out of alignment again?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like, I call it like an energetic massage,
Oh, I
right?
like that.
In
Yeah.
essence, right? So
Yeah. I need a
yeah,
tune up.
right, because stuff happens to us every day, right?
Absolutely.
And so there's like, can be a buildup or something else shifts, or like once you
Yeah.
get this set of stuff out, there's always something else, right? Or we can go deeper. So it's
Yes.
not like you know, you
One and
have,
done. Healing's not one and done. I think as
oh,
practitioners,
yeah.
sometimes our clients get a misperception that it's one and done. And it's like, no, the healing is constantly ongoing. And you have to be willing to look at the deeper layers. And like your work, you're digging down deeper and deeper and deeper. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's different types of sessions too, depending on what's going on in somebody's life. Like someone may come to me, and they're, you know, in the middle of a divorce and their life is upside down and they're going through a lot,
It's a
right?
lot.
And so I might focus on the event or
Right.
what they're holding or whatever, versus somebody else who's like, you know, I just don't feel well. Here's what's going on physically. And so maybe there's more to what's, you know, what's behind, you know,
Mhm.
what's going on in their body. You know, maybe it's they're having stomach issues and so they're having an identity crisis, or they don't feel respected, their self-esteem is in the trash, you know, like
Right.
maybe something like, so it's different. I mean, sometimes
Absolutely.
I might focus on the major energy centers in the body, right? So we might do what we would call a chakra clearing. right? So where we're holding things in different points of our body so that we feel better.
You know, as you're talking, I wonder if you've noticed, like so I do run a doctor's office. I'm a registered nurse, and there has been this illness, this cough, cold, fatigue that has been holding on to patients for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I'd be curious if you've had any of these clients come to you. Like, have you noticed this? Like, it's like a mystery illness. It's not COVID, it's not the flu, it's not strep. It's like this cough that will not go away.
Well, I do think, okay, so I'm not an astrologer, okay,
Right.
but there has been an awful lot of energy, and we've been
Oh yeah.
going, like, we know we all celebrate the new year, right, on January 1st.
Right.
This weekend was the Lunar New Year, the first new
Yes. Year
moon,
the
right, of the year.
dragon.
And yes, and Chinese New Year, Year the Dragon, right? So we're kind of like, and then from an astrological standpoint, we have
Oh, the Pluto shifting. That's
into
huge.
Aquarius,
Yes,
right?
that's
Okay, so
huge.
so Aquarius all being about the individual and the best of the individual, and the best of, the collective all together, right? So
Right.
it's you being authentically you and also making a difference for the whole.
Right.
That's the Aquarian energy. And then from like the other side, right? You've got the astrological new year, which really starts with the spring equinox, right? In the middle of March. So we're kind of half last year, half this year, right? And our bodies are like not quite adjusting. And so it's almost like when something attacks somebody's throat, like a
Mm,
cough, right? A lot of times it's them not speaking their truth. So
right.
maybe in struggle between letting go last year and being authentically who I am is part of what's holding on
It's interesting.
for people at this point.
I like
Um,
that perspective. It's
I
so
get
true. It's a weird time of year. No, I feel like the energy is so intense. And for 2024, a lot of people are awakening and a lot of people are really shifting towards spirituality. And there's this massive influx of energy coming onto the planet to assist with this awakening. And it's fascinating. And it's also
yeah,
exhausting. I don't know about you,
it
but I've been a
is.
little tired.
Yes, it is really exhausting. Yeah, and so many people are going through like this transformation at this time.
Yes.
And so anytime somebody gets a cold, okay, just like a regular cold,
Yeah.
it's usually a mental confusion, right? Like too much going on,
Mm.
I can't catch up, and I need to rest. And so you kind of combine that with the cough and what's going on energetically, it
Yeah.
makes, to me, complete perfect sense why so many people be having this mystery illness and like, what the hell is going on?
I love
It's because
this.
they're not quite into the Aquarian age yet, right? And a lot of people are departing the planet at this point too. I don't know
Yes, that
if
is
you
the
know
other
this.
thing. Yes, my one of
Yeah.
my really good friends. That's why I'm actually bringing this up. She's a medium, but she's been
Okay.
struggling with this cough for a long time. But a lot of people, she's like, a lot of people are going to be leaving the planet, and she's like, here's another, here's another, here's another, here's another, and I'm like, stop doing readings.
I know, it's so crazy, right?
It's
Um,
insane. It really is.
I know,
Um,
you're like, what world am I really living in? But
Well,
you know,
it takes me to like we're in the matrix and there's glitches in the system is what I'm feeling like right now, more so than
yep,
usual.
yep,
So
totally, totally.
so you
Yeah,
actually have a certification program
I
with
do.
soul intelligence.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. So how does that prepare practitioners to navigate the complexities of human emotions and energies?
Ooh, that's exciting. It's an interesting way to put it. Well, I mean, in terms of,
I don't know if that's a good interesting.
so I just wanted to, yeah, it is. I wanted to also just like look up cough because I sometimes like
Oh, I
want to
love
go
this.
deeper. Yeah, I have a
Yes.
really cool book. So just like The Body Keeps Score,
Right.
I have another reference text that I absolutely love. I'll share with you called The Secret Language of Your Body
Oh, I
by
love that.
yeah, here by Ina Segal. Here, I'll do it this way since
Oh my
you and
gosh,
I
I
are,
love that. Okay. And I
yeah,
have
it's,
metaphysical anatomy that's up on
ooh,
my shelf that I was looking
see?
up. Oh my gosh,
I
I love
love it.
that.
All this great thought leadership. So cough in particular, that's what I wanted to look up for you.
Yes.
Just to see, what this says. Resistant to making a necessary change in your life. Did we just talk about,
Ooh,
like, that's the first thing,
yes.
like we just said, feeling overwhelmed by worries, anxieties, stresses. Um, So focusing on fixing other people's issues instead of dealing with your own.
Ooh.
Yes,
Mm.
self-critical and
Oh
easily
yeah,
hurt by
yes,
others.
yeah, that's my friend. Good job.
Could be.
Good job.
Anyway, so those would be things I would look at
Right.
and seek to clear specifically if I was working with a patient.
I love
Okay,
that.
so your second question, or your other question about practitioners,
So
sorry, I'm
talk
going
to
real
me
fast.
about, so you actually certify
How to do the,
practitioners in
yes,
soul intelligence.
I do.
So tell us about that.
Okay,
And I guess I'm going to change my question.
okay.
So do you see soul intelligence as a force multiplier in the holistic and medical communities? And what is your vision for its impact?
Oh gosh, that is such a good question. I really feel like I'm supposed to lead the soul intelligence movement. I
Love
really do. And
that.
I think this is bigger and better, like Reiki on steroids, because it's really
Oh my
specific.
gosh. So I'm sorry. I do integrative energy therapy and they call it
Uh-huh.
Reiki on steroids.
Okay, so like that.
I
All
love
right,
this.
but yeah, mine is just very specific. So when I
Right.
work with an individual, it's specific to them.
Yeah, it's
Can I
perfect.
do group? Absolutely. I do group as well, but that's usually on a theme. So like
Right.
when I do like a once a month where I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it on the theme, like what's going on astrologically or what's going on in the
Yeah.
world, or, those kinds of things. So it's more global. But when I work with somebody individually, it's very specific to them.
Perfect.
So I do believe my intention is to make it a movement and to have as many people use this in their practice as possible. So I actually, in the first group of people that I certified, I had several nurses, I had a nurse practitioner. So it's been a lot of doctors, offices, teams,
Nice.
staff, because it's a nice complementary practice. So, hey, take these supplements and heal, or take this prescription and heal. And then let's also heal the underlying root cause and let's fix you holistically.
Right.
So I really see this as being, energy medicine as the next level of helping people heal completely, right? You can't do one, you can't, you have to support both the body, the mind, the spirit,
Absolutely.
and the emotional body in particular, to make sure that somebody can heal completely. So I really do have plans for this going big. As a matter of fact, I'm writing my book at the moment, Soul Intelligence, How to Up Level from Within. And I am going to be releasing an ebook early in the spring, so probably about April. I've got several speaking dates set up around that, and then I'll be working on the full manuscript for release hopefully
Oh,
later this year.
I think that is wonderful. So let me ask you this. How do you manage the delicate balance of helping clients process trauma without having to relive it? And do you have maybe one intriguing story that you can share for a client from a client?
Oh, sure. Gosh, I got tons of them, but how do I do it? So basically, all a person does is they have to sit back and receive. That's it. So to talk, nurse terms, compliance, right? That's the biggest thing. Will the client do what I'm asking them to do? So the good part with me is all you got to do is show up. And that could be through a Zoom, that could be in person. It just depends on the location. And the cool thing is energy is everywhere. And so Zoom, it's actually how I started. I started helping people during COVID, and I actually added this to my coaching practice. I was doing executive coaching, leadership coaching, and life coaching because I have a certified professional coaching credential. And so I started to introduce this as a method, like, hey, would you like to find out what's really underneath it all? So I actually put this together in that manner so that it would be a complementary service to any practitioner.
I love
Does
that.
that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So before I ask you the last question, you
Mhm.
also do nutritional frontiers.
I
Can
do.
you please tell us a little bit about that? And if
Mhm.
someone is interested, where is the best place for them to go to?
Absolutely. Well, so Nutritional Frontiers actually sells high quality supplements to healthcare professionals directly. And you can find them at nutritionalfrontiers.com. So you as a practitioner could go there directly, yes, and sign up and get an account. But we only use patented research, trademarked ingredients. The philosophy behind the company is really high quality stuff that helps people heal. And we want to help practitioners, improve their patient outcomes and increase their practice profits. And so you do that through the nutritional or nutraceuticals. As far as the general consumer looking to join, they can either go to Nutritional Frontiers to see, is there a practitioner near them that they could purchase supplements through? Or we have an actual physical location in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania called the World of Wellness. And you could go to wowpgh.com and a general consumer could buy products directly. But I always recommend that you go to a practitioner first, just so that you know, what do I really need?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Because there's a spectrum. It's not all one thing or another. Sometimes you do need medication, and sometimes you can start naturally, and not necessarily have to go to prescription medication. So I think it's really best to kind of work with a practitioner. We have a whole host of them throughout the country that we work with in particular. So I love it, because then I'm going to be able to tell somebody, look, here's the physical stuff that you need to do, and here's what we're going to do for you mentally and emotionally so that you can heal this completely. How the trauma, they don't have to relive it. Like I said, all they have to do is show up. And I ask, whatever needs to move, shift, or clear be presented, unless there was something in their heart or mind. And it's bringing that stuff up from the subconscious to the conscious, and you release it. Now, occasionally people do cry, because you're releasing emotion. It does happen.
Absolutely.
I've had people fall asleep because they're so freaking relaxed. So good thing I record it.
I love that.
And the neat thing is after the session is recognizing what shifted, right? What doesn't trigger me anymore, or wow, how do I feel about this event that happened in my life? So it's kind of noticing after. Like, I'll tell you. So one doctor I worked with, you asked for story, so it's just top of mind now.
No, it's
So,
perfect.
oh, cool. Okay, so one doctor that I worked with, she was having a legal battle with a contractor in her home. Okay, and she was really struggling. She had this foot pain, and it was to the point where she couldn't actually like walk. Like, she was so immobilized by it. And so she said, well, I'm having this foot pain. I'm not really sure what's going on. And so I asked her, I go, well, what's going on in your life? And she told me about this relationship between her and the contractor, and the fight and attorney and craziness and whatever. And so I said, okay, well, let's focus on the foot and let's get underneath that and figure out what's going on. Well, she didn't want to move forward. She didn't want this guy to do the work anymore. And she was very frustrated because the attorneys weren't helping and weren't going forward. So we worked on that. I trying to relieve the trauma that was in the foot, and also kind of, get her in a better place to be able to stand on her own 2 feet and stand up for herself and fight. And the very next day she sent me a text and she was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I have no pain in my foot. This is crazy. So that was like one healthcare professional. Another one, this is really kind of tragic. She performed CPR on someone who had passed. Okay. So tried to
so
save
traumatic.
code blue, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And she was feeling really funky and she wasn't able to work. And she was like, I need to take time off. I can't see patients. I got to take care of me. Thank goodness she did that.
Yeah.
But she reached out to me. She said, I really need a session. And I said, well, if you think about it, when you're close with someone, even holding hands or in the same proximity, there's an energy exchange, right? You're in each other's field. So there is a morphogenic field between you and your significant other, you and your family, right? It's kind of like a bigger field around you. But when you kiss someone or you exchange fluids in any way, shape, or form, you are exchanging energy.
Yeah.
And so her giving him mouth to mouth, she did take on stuff for this individual who passed away.
Yeah.
She wrote me the very next day, oh my God, I can't believe how much better I feel. I was carrying this weight around. I can't wait to share my story with other people. I want to speak on stage with you. I was just like, wow, I love
Love
you.
that.
And that's from a nurse practitioner,
That's
has her own
amazing.
successful practice. Yeah. So just a couple of cool things, it always
Yeah.
happens, but those were things, because sometimes we don't notice anything until it shows up in the physical,
True.
right? But
True.
depression is a real thing, and it's extremely destructive. And if you're depressed, your body has a harder time healing. right? And that's
Absolutely.
why people talk about the power of prayer. They talk about the power of positive thinking, because you're shifting your inner state so that the body has time to heal. So it all works together. All works together.
Absolutely. It's so true. People, it's interesting as more and more research and modalities are coming out. Like this is just becoming paramount. I think for people to truly live very healthy and happy lives, it's another component because sometimes medicine can be a band-aid, because they're
Yeah.
not getting to, like you said, to the root cause. So final question
Oh,
for
yeah. Okay.
for those that are feeling the nudge to explore this field, what's the
Yeah.
first step they can take to join the soul intelligence movement and why should they consider it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, they can go to soulintelligencemethod.com, or soulintelligence.com to read about it. Certainly. And I can certainly offer, like a freebie for people if they want to reach out to me. Kristine at KristineGleinCoaching.com. And I'm happy to send a freebie to anybody in your audience that
Oh,
would
you're so
like
nice.
that. It'd be nice meditation, journaling, some exercises, some cool things to kind of go within and maybe get started. But in terms of if you feel like you want to help other people, you've always felt like you're a healer, but you didn't know how can I heal somebody? I haven't gone to medicine, I haven't gone to medical school. I don't have, but I love it. I want to help people. It's a great way to learn how to help someone. I've had people go through the course. It's actually online on demand at this point. I do have a coach that's in, that helps people each week answering questions, and a Slack group, which is like our own private instant message group, so that people can kind of share and exchange what's going on and how this method is helping them or pose questions. But I've had people do it in as little as 3 months. And then so other people want to take their time and stretch it out to about 6 months. But we take you through, everything from using a pendulum and feeling like you're aligned with the divine and that you feel comfortable, to
Yeah.
learning what each of the charts mean. I have about 30 different charts. So that's a lot, from negative energies, emotions, and thoughts to self-limiting beliefs to archetypes. There's over 100 of those, like patterns that repeat,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty comprehensive. I even have work chart, stuff like if you're having a block to marketing or you're having challenges of sales. I mean, it just depends on the individual and what's going on in their life.
I love the idea of a work chart. That's so smart. I'm like, I'm
It's
having a moment. I love that. Well,
well, we're gonna have
Kristine,
to do a session for you,
I
Rach, so
know. I'm
you
like,
have the firsthand experience.
this is fascinating. Well, Kristine, thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm so excited for Soul Intelligence to touch millions of people. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
me too. Thank you for the opportunity.